CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Miriam Valdez-Carletti.
Good evening. The city estimates 90% of drivers are ignoring the residential parking ban. It decided today to keep parking ban fines status quo as crews work to clear neighborhoods following historic snowfalls. As CTV's Jeremy Thompson reports, the lack of compliance is frustrating for city workers, who are also encountering more angry Edmontonians than usual.
A section of street in northeast Edmonton sits untouched by city plows, evidently too narrow to navigate with cars parked on either side.
When there's parked cars on the street, it prevents them from doing the best job they possibly can do, and it's frustrating for them.
The city estimates only 1 in 10 vehicles complied with the neighborhood parking ban last week, and that's not the only obstacle crews are encountering.
We had some areas where we actually had to demob from there due to worker safety, due to threats from the public. So we had to demobilize from those areas and delay them and reschedule them.
People throwing shovels at the units. There was one person that had a baseball bat pulled out on them. There has been death threats, verbal assaults.
Councillor Michael Jans visited workers over the weekend and says they're feeling burnt out and unappreciated.
People are not sleeping. People have given up their holiday with loved ones. People are working around the clock. I don't even want to know what our overtime bill is right now.
Councillors say there need to be consistent consequences for disobeying the parking ban.
And people figure, why should I have to move my vehicle there? You know, the likelihood of that I'm going to get ticketed or towed is quite low.
They agreed to keep the fine at $250 rather than lowering it, and say more enforcement officers are needed. Last week, roughly 2,600 parking ban tickets were issued by just 5 officers.
We probably need 45. Honestly, based on my inbox, we probably have more than enough work to go around.
The union president believes better communication by the city would also boost compliance. Doing more of anything will require growing the current $67 million snow and ice budget, a tricky target to hit as winter weather becomes less predictable. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
People living in Rio Terrace claim the city is handing out tickets before some parking bans even begin. Some say they signed up for the city's text notifications, but ended up with tickets anyways. Greg Roeder says he got a text message last Wednesday saying plowing had been rescheduled to this coming Friday, the 23rd. He says it's the only notification he got. Overnight Saturday, he got a $250 ticket. He says at least 7 to 8 other neighbors were also ticketed. 2 neighbors say they would have been fine paying the tickets if the roads were plowed, which they weren't. They say communication about the bans has been confusing.
It doesn't make sense that you would get a ticket for when the plows aren't around, even for a week.
We've done everything that we can to be caught up on the notifications and to be aware of the dates. When things are arbitrarily changed and we don't have an opportunity to get educated on it using the systems that the city has put in place, that's where it's unfair.
Roeder says his street ended up getting plowed late this afternoon. Both neighbors say they plan to challenge the tickets. And we have asked the city why people were told plowing would be happening later this week and are waiting for a response. A trial has begun in Edmonton for the man accused of what's described as vicious attacks on 2 men in Chinatown. Justin Bone is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. CTV's Amanda Anderson reports.
This was the scene in Chinatown in May 2022. 64-year-old Hung Trang was attacked in the washroom of the auto body shop where he worked. He died the next day in hospital. Hours later, not far away, the body of 61-year-old Bon Fu Kwong was found inside his store, Universal Electronics and Video. Today, Justin Bone, the man accused of beating them to death, pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder. During opening remarks, the Crown provided an outline of its evidence. He described the attacks as vicious on 2 men who weren't looking for any trouble that day. A mental health assessment on Bone is underway, but the Crown argued Bone's actions showed purpose and sufficient mental functioning to form intent. The Crown also told the court evidence of Bone's DNA found under one of the victim's fingernails will be presented. Surveillance video from the auto body shop was played, showing what appears to be Bone at the business. Trang is also seen, then goes into the washroom area. The man follows about 30 seconds later. An employee at the auto body shop testified through an interpreter he heard voices from the washroom saying, "Hey." He told the court he saw a stranger stomping on something near a washing machine. Soon after, he says he found his co-worker lying face down with blood on the floor and water flowing from a broken toilet tank. Before the trial started, Trang's daughter provided a statement saying they've waited almost 4 years for this day. She says this process is about honoring the victims and their families, their dignity, and right to truth and accountability. The Crown intends to focus its witnesses and evidence on the scene at the auto body shop to begin with, then move on to the scene at the electronics and video store, followed by Bones' time in custody right after his arrest. The trial continues tomorrow. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
A document obtained by CTV News states emergency room waits in Alberta hospitals led to at least 6 deaths and more than 24 delays for patients with serious conditions. The information was gathered by the Alberta Medical Association to understand how the current hospital crunch is affecting Albertans waiting for care. CTV's Nicole Weisberg has the details.
These are just some examples collected to try to get government to share our urgency.
Dr. Paul Parks is referring to this list, collected by the Alberta Medical Association, reported by colleagues, of deaths and near misses in Alberta emergency rooms in recent weeks. The 6 deaths include a woman waiting 8 hours to be seen who was eventually diagnosed with a bowel obstruction. She received emergency surgery, but by that time was septic and ended up dying about 24 hours later. Another, a man who had chest pain for months, went to an urgent care center but left before being seen due to the long wait. He went to his family doctor, was scheduled for a test, but ended up suffering a fatal out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. A third case, almost identical to that of 44-year-old Prashant Sri Kumar, who died in the Grey Nuns emergency department. It says a middle-aged man had ongoing chest pain, waited 8 hours in the emergency room for a bed, and when he finally got one, suffered cardiac arrest and died.
They're just the tip of the iceberg, and they are just highlighting from my colleagues across the province how severe things are on a daily basis.
The Ministry of Hospitals told CTV News it could not comment on the unverified, anonymized patient information being circulated for privacy and legal reasons, although it takes this information seriously. At a news conference last week, the minister acknowledged the pressure on the healthcare system, driven, he says, by a tough flu season.
There is province-wide coordination. There always has been, there always will be. And I would say that it's the only reason we've gotten through the bulk of respiratory virus season.
He said a pilot project will see a doctor work alongside triage nurses in Alberta's busiest emergency departments. He also said a long-term capital plan is being developed. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
The federal gun buyback program has begun. Owners of banned firearms have until the end of March to state their interest in the program. It offers compensation for turning in or permanently deactivating illegal weapons. Since 2020, Ottawa has banned about 2,500 types of guns. Alberta's Justice Office says in part it will not participate in what it calls the federal confiscation program. The buyback program is on a first-come, first-served basis. Federal NDP leadership candidate Heather McPherson says now is the time to grow the party. The Edmonton Strathcona MP was in Calgary over the weekend meeting with supporters. McPherson is considered a front runner in the leadership race. She says she feels there is a voice missing from the national conversation as Canada deals with the twists and turns of a trade war.
We need a strong leader that can actually hit the ground running on day one to lead the New Democratic Party. And it's important for not just New Democrats, it's important for all Canadians because we need a strong progressive party in the House of Commons that is in fact fighting for Canadians, that is holding the government accountable, that is holding the government to the promises that they have made to Canadians.
The NDP will select its next leader at the convention in March. Some people living in Strathcona County say they're worried their water bills could skyrocket in the coming years. The city is planning to shut down a water filling station used by thousands of homes. CTV's Evan Kenny has more on why the decision was made and how much more water will cost.
Water trucks leave this station in Sherwood Park to fill tanks at homes and businesses around Strathcona County.
Water is an essential service. Water is life.
This is where homeowner Ann Colburn gets her water from for now.
That decision was to decommission this water fill station in 2029.
In 2024, Strathcona County Council voted to cease operations here, opting to instead upgrade a station east of town near Ardrossan and build a new station south of Sherwood Park.
That option 2 is the lowest cost option that was put forward in relation to the group that benefits the most, which is the bulk water users.
Coburn says between the added costs the county is charging for building and improving the filling stations, as well as for delivery from further away, she could see her water bill go up thousands of dollars each year.
It's not like WestJet when they decided to narrow the seats. People can say, I'll fly another airline. We live in the county. We pay taxes in the county. We expect equitable access to basic services like water.
The county says most months the Ardrossan fill station has twice as many transactions as the Sherwood Drive location. Right now, people like Colburn pay just over $3 per cubic meter or 1,000 liters. That will go up 45 cents per cubic meter if filling in Ardrossan and 40 to 55 cents at the South Station.
Council was weighing and balancing sort of the level of service implications with the cost of service implications.
These changes will come into effect in 2029 after construction is complete at the water stations. Evan Kenny, CTV News, Sherwood Park.
Family, teammates, and fans of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins helped him celebrate reaching 1,000 career NHL games Sunday.
And it is 1,000th game, all with the Edmonton Oilers, number 93, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
His brother and closest friends read out the Oilers' opening lineup ahead of their game against the St. Louis Blues last night. Everyone wore shirts with the Nuge's face on them. A ceremony before the game included a video tribute with messages from current and former teammates. Nuge then scored the game's first goal 6 minutes in. And that was the game winner, with the Oilers cruising to a 5-0 victory, their second shutout of the weekend. Nugent-Hopkins called it a special and memorable night.
What the guys put together and the way they made this night a special night for myself and my family and friends was incredible and something that I'll never forget. And then obviously the fans out there, they're always electric, but the chants and stuff, that doesn't go unnoticed.
Only one other player has played more regular season games in an Oilers uniform than Nugent-Hopkins. Kevin Lowe played 1,037 career games. Nuge can potentially pass him next season. Recent solar flaring activity on the surface of the sun is expected to make for a spectacular showing of the northern lights over North America tonight. It's possible the Aurora Borealis will be so brilliant overnight it may be visible even within city limits. While it might be a little too cloudy for us here in Edmonton tonight, expert aurora chasers suggest heading out of the city for the best view. It's expected the lights will start dancing right around midnight. Coming up next, tough reality for some students looking to get into STEM after high school. And also just ahead, a local horse rescuer in need of help after a weekend fire.
I looked out the window and seen smoke bellowing out of the building.
Good evening, folks. -5 for a daytime high today. We should be a couple degrees warmer tomorrow, although it may not feel any warmer because of the gusty wind. Talk more about that and the real cool down that settles in towards the end of the week in just a few minutes.
A local horse rescue is in need of help after fire ripped through its barn this weekend. While all 90 horses were saved, the barn and equipment inside are badly damaged. CTV's Merrick DeCash reports.
I looked out the window and seen smoke bellowing out of the building.
5 Freedoms Ranch owner Bev Wilson says fire broke out at her barn Friday morning. She says fire trucks arrived 12 minutes after she called 911.
Thankfully, none of the horses were in there, because we do let the horses go into that building when it's really cold. And I'm just so thankful they're all safe.
The ranch is located southeast of Sherwood Park and is home to horses that have been rescued.
We have thoroughbreds, everything, and they all came from neglect, abuse. Max came through the SPCA when he was seized, so we have horses from all different places, most of them say from slaughter.
The ranch became a registered federal charity back in 2020. Cheryl Armstead has been a donor from the get-go.
I was looking to try to get into something that I could support, where I could be more of a support, that I could actually know the people that are doing this, not where you're just handing a check over to a nonprofit organization.
Armstead was shocked when she heard about the fire.
She's lost a lot of feed. She's lost all of her blankets, lots of things gone, but we can replace those.
All 90 horses are okay, but the building and equipment inside has been damaged.
32 horse blankets are worth probably $10,000 just for the horse blankets alone. And then the feed, we had a full pallet, so that's probably another $5,000 or so. And buckets and everything, I don't know. There's so much damage in there, it's going to take a while to assess. We had tools and all kinds of stuff. So
Wilson says the cause of the fire is electrical and it's not being considered suspicious. Five Freedoms Ranch is now accepting donations on its website. Merrick DeCash, CTV News, Edmonton.
An Alberta high school student is finding out the hard way that going to a STEM school and achieving top marks is no guarantee to secure a spot in STEM post-secondary programs. CTV's Tyler Barrow has more on the competition.
STEM Innovation Academy grade 12 student Asia Skander wants to study cardiothoracic surgery. She applied to the University of Calgary. She was optimistic she would get early admission in biological sciences. After all, Asia boasts a 93 average with her grade 12 courses combined with her grade 11 marks. But it wasn't enough.
It was definitely very upsetting, I'd say, but I'm not giving up. I still have hope.
Her journey is far from over. She is still waiting to hear back on her first choice program, but this is how tough it can be for students striving for the STEM stream. Some estimated competitive admission averages for U of C science programs for the fall are listed in the low, mid, and even high 90s.
The academic averages since COVID have been exceedingly high, and they've remained quite high.
U of C points partly to significant province-wide population growth among university-aged individuals as applications increased by 9% compared to the previous year, adding domestic enrollment in the faculties of engineering and science has increased by 12.5% in fall 2025 compared to fall 2021. However, demand continues to outpace available capacity, impacting admission rates. At Mount Royal University, STEM seating has increased by 100 students from 2021 to 2026, and admission targets continue to climb.
The numbers coming to Calgary continuing to increase, and the number of places in a lot of these programs aren't growing accordingly.
STEM Innovation Academy is calling on the province to increase STEM funding in an effort to open up more seats for what it says are deserving students.
There's nothing wrong with competition, but when competition gets in the way of good kids getting access to programs, that's where an issue.
The Ministry of Advanced Education points to last year's budget, saying Alberta's government is investing more than $97 million to expand high-demand STEM programs, adding 624 seats in computer and software engineering, 609 seats in engineering, and 2,874 seats in technology programs across the province. Throughout the province, there were approximately 65,000 students enrolled in STEM programs. Asia Skander hopes that she will soon be part of that very select group. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
After the break, tips for when you're walking your pet outside in slippery conditions.
If a dog is jumping at a fence and it's icy underneath, they can slip, they can hurt their knee, they can hurt themselves.
Coming up Tuesday on Your Morning, we'll continue to save you money. We're in the kitchen with ways to stretch your ingredients into several different meals. We'll see what it says.
Your Morning Edmonton, weekdays.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Welcome back. Right around average today, minus 15 in the morning, minus 5 for a high this afternoon. By the end of this week, we're looking at daytime highs in that minus 15 range. Pretty gusty here across parts of central and northern Alberta with a wind warning in effect for areas to the south of Edmonton, Red Deer, east towards Coronation, southeast towards Drumheller. Gusts could be in the 80 to 90 kilometer per hour range overnight and early tomorrow morning. That'll be combined with some snow in through those areas. So blowing snow, big problem there. Here in Edmonton, looks like the chances for snow are pretty much slim to none by tomorrow morning, and we may even see some sun breaking through the clouds midday. Across the northeast, still gusty tomorrow, so blowing snow in through this region as another wave of snow rolls through east central and northeastern Alberta through the course of the day tomorrow. There's a slight chance you might see a couple of snowflakes tomorrow evening in the Edmonton region, but I really think it's the wind that will be a bigger story tomorrow afternoon. There's your temperatures. Not bad tomorrow, minus the wind chill. And then you can see the cooler air and the darker blues, the purples and pinks start to sink in. This will be the coldest part of the province here, east central, northeastern Alberta. Daytime highs Thursday in the minus 20s. Here in Edmonton, we'll get into the mid-minus teens Thursday, Friday. I think we're back to around minus 10 Saturday, Sunday. There's some models that suggest temperatures could be a little bit warmer already by the end of the weekend. I think it's probably somewhere early to middle part of next week that we get back closer to 0 for daytime highs. Morning lows around minus 7 in Edmonton, minus 16 in Fort McMurray, minus 8 for Jasper, minus 15 into the Lloydminster region. There's your snow across the northeast, minus 3 in Fort McMurray. It doesn't look like this amounts to too much in the way of accumulation. Minus 1 in Grand Prairie, 2 degrees below 0 for Red Deer and Jasper, and about minus 5 with some flurries and blowing snow in Lloydminster. A little windy, gusts to about 30 or 40 kilometers per hour through the day tomorrow here in Edmonton. High of minus 2. Wind chill will be minus 5 to minus 10 range all day. Minus 7 on Wednesday, mid-minus teens Thursday, Friday, and then a gradual rebound and a warm-up through the course of next week. That is your forecast.
With icy sidewalks and streets, getting your pet outside can be a challenge. CTV's Gates Gorin found out how to keep them physically and mentally stimulated.
12-year-old Supernova knows to keep her eyes on the prize. She and her canine companions are staying stimulated indoors under the watchful eye of their human, Govind Pillai.
Nothing is worse than cabin fever for dogs.
With the blast of cold temperatures set to return, Pillai says issues can arise from dogs that are not able to get the right amount of both physical and mental activity from being outside.
When I look at the dogs that are having behavioral problems, more reactivity, more fear, more uncertainty, I have to take a look at their day, and what's often missing is that stimulation, that robust, comprehensive stimulation.
Veterinarian Charlene Laprise adds cold and icy conditions can pose problems for dogs and owners that aren't prepared.
So if a dog is jumping at a fence and it's icy underneath, they can slip, they can hurt their knee, they can hurt themselves. Plus, it's just not good for them mentally.
She adds dogs can become frustrated if they're cooped up inside for days on end. But both say there are plenty of ways to get your pup up and engaged.
Food puzzle toys are great ways to keep them occupied. Dogs don't actually need to eat from a bowl. You can find engaging ways to have them hunt for or find their food.
The mouth. There's a way to stimulate the mouth in a really appropriate way. There's activities we can look at. Agility, really appropriate tug of war to help release predatory behaviors.
Being social around people and other dogs can also help with mental stimulation. It's about getting creative within the walls of your home.
So there's different ways of engaging, I think, different faculties of the brain, different processes in their bodies, where at the end, even though you haven't gone for that 45 one-hour walk, they're pooped.
If you do find some time outside, it's recommended both human and dog gear up to take on the cold.
Just an opportunity to sniff, get out there, and then get back in the house. Like that versus not ever getting out of the house for 3, 4, 7 days in a row, there's a big difference.
And taking steps to be as prepared as possible will make for some happy pups at the end of the day. Gates Gorin, CTV News, Edmonton.
Thousands lined up to take in the annual skijoring in Banff. The event combines horse riding and skiing. It's the 4th year the town has hosted the sport as part of the Snow Days Festival. People come from all across Canada to take part.
We put on events in winter to give people a reason to come out to the mountains at this time of year. We're very busy during the summer months, and events allow us to kind of spread out demand and help boost the economy and lift it during this time of year.
If you missed out, you'll have another chance to take in the sport next month. That's when Skijor Canada will be in Calgary. And a big congrats goes out to one of our very own reporter, Amanda Anderson. She's been crowned the 2025 Alberta Women's Pinball Champ. Over the weekend, she secured a spot in the first ever national championships happening next month, as well as a spot in the North American Championships in the U.S. in March. Well, Amanda has played in a few provincials before. She says this was her best finish. Amanda has been competing for 8 years now. And that's our show for this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night.